Yeah, yeah, all this money on me. Yeah, yeah, cash rules all around me. Yeah, yeah, all this money around me. Yeah, yeah, cash rules all around me. Yeah,
Money, how you feel like a man with that? I tell them long, little real, I stay true to that. Hey, no money, how you feel like a man with that? I tell them long, little real, I stay true to that.
Hey, big bags, my back ache through customs. You travel like you must be tough out of your luck, huh? I'm that go-to when she down to come through clutch, huh? Sit brown till I'm flush time. My drip, drip, real plush, huh? Internet tea off a blue pill. Hand grip stack of the blue cheese. Turn that to a bag of the new crib. Nice beach ball on the seaside.
Program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, I think that is so true. It does not matter who the host is. Today is Thursday, March 24th of 2022. Let's see, what day is it? 83rd of the year. Yeah, 83rd of the year, and only 282 days left before we get to the end of what we are calling the show. You know, the show of shows, the year that is known of 2022. Not that I'm in a big rush to get to the end of the thing, but definitely something worth talking about, because it feels like it's something that we should talk about, not sometime, all the time. So that's the way that it goes. Anyways, I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. That is for sure. So we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then, of course, we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do things at.
Radio Big.
Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big.fm. So that's how it goes from time to time as we get to do some fun stuff. So did you get to do anything cool last night? Did you get to do anything that you wanted to brag about this morning? It's okay. I'm okay. If you want to brag a little bit, if you want to talk about some things that brought you some joy, if you want to talk about some other things that are we won't say controversial, but some things that are worth talking about. Maybe that's the fashion to take a look at it, opposed to it being a controversy, because it's not about controversy. It's just about conversation. That is for sure. Anyway, so let's talk about what was trending last night and the overnight and all that fun stuff, because I think that that's always important for us to start discussing. So let's go through this real quick. Twitter users reacted to devastating news, or the devastating scenes and news from New Orleans after the tornado that ravaged through the area on Tuesday night. National Puppy Day was a hashtag that landed on Twitter's top 10 trends on Wednesday as Twitter users shared photos of their dogs and puppies and encouraged others to adopt. Don't shop when looking for your own furry companion. Let's see. Home Depot was trending yesterday as social media users reacted to the training flyer that was shared online. One of the sections causing an uproar that was titled "Leading Practices Unpacking Privilege." It's interesting. That one's an interesting one. And then Madeleine Albright was trending after the news passed of her passing yesterday. We can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like. I mean, we think we can talk about it a little bit more right now, if you were so desiring to do so, in regards to that, because it was one of the, I guess we can say to an extent, it was kind of some shocking news in regards of that. I mean, former Secretary of State passed away on Wednesday after the battle with cancer. Her family reported she was 84. So it's just some things that were going on there. So let me explain to you, just for the sake of doing so, let's talk about what we have going on the show, because I think that this is always important for us to go back and forth and do and move and groove and all that fun stuff. The way that the show is laid out, it goes something like this. We talk about safety, and then we talk about safety in the news, and then we kind of go back and forth, and then we open the phone lines from time to time for you to kind of come in and talk about what you want to talk about. All you have to do for that is go to callinradio.com to do so, and that's not an issue whatsoever, to be able to move forward and get all those things moving and grooving your general direction. And then outside of that, we come back and I give you some lingo of that kind of stuff. And then we go from there and we kind of talk through what are some of the issues that are going on inside of the world, or problems, or and all that kind of fun stuff. And we kind of end it with a capper and then go from there. Kind of a simple process, I think. And then we go and move on. So I think we'll start off right now with some news, letting you know what exactly is going on inside of the world and the segments of the world that might be important to you. We'll give you the latest thing that's coming down from the wire of the newscast that came out about 6:40. Yeah, it's about as realistic in time that we're trying to keep it. So let's do it that way.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. President Biden is in Brussels today for a special NATO summit. NBC's Bree Jackson.
The main issue at hand, Russia's brutal attacks on Ukraine. The president and NATO leaders acknowledging a frustrated Vladimir Putin could soon turn to chemical weapons.
Chemical weapons attack.
More sanctions against Russia are on the table for NATO leaders. Members are pledging to double their military presence near Ukraine.
Biden will also meet with G7 nations during his trip and address the European Union. He'll then move on to Poland. North Korea has launched what is believed to be an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time in more than 4 years. Mark Mayfield with more.
Officials in Japan say the missile launched today appeared to be a new kind of ICBM that flew much farther than the last one that North Korea tested in November of 2017. The launch ends a moratorium on testing ICBMs and nuclear weapons that North Korea declared in 2018 ahead of diplomatic talks with the U.S. United Nations Security Council resolutions bar North Korea from testing nuclear weapons or ballistic missiles.
The Biden administration is blasting a new law in Idaho that bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said on Wednesday the law is devastating for our Idaho women and would further impede women's access to health care. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is on the verge of making history. She finished her final round of questioning yesterday before the Senate Judiciary Committee. At one point during the questioning, she could be seen wiping tears as Democratic Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey talked about what this moment in history means.
You have earned this spot. You are worthy. You are a great American.
If confirmed, Jackson would be the first black woman to sit on the nation's highest court. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host
of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. World leaders are gathering in Brussels for NATO, G7 and EU summits on Ukraine. Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio says he plans to impose further sanctions on Russia for its invasion. Indian petroleum company Nayara has purchased nearly 2 million barrels of Russian oil, according to Refinitiv, and crash investigators from China are analysing the cockpit voice recorder from the jet that crashed on Monday.
Rated R Safety Show. Sarcastic?
Never.
Russia's communications regulator has reportedly blocked Google News. Brian Shook with more.
The Interfax news agency reports Russia is accusing it of publishing what it calls fake material about the country's military operation in Ukraine. They did not give any further specifics. It comes after Russia passed a law that makes it illegal to report any information that could discredit the country's military.
The cost of rent is hitting a record high across the country. A report from Realtor.com says the average rent in the U.S. in February was about $1,700 a month. That's up 17% from a year ago. Cities dealing with the largest increases of 23% or more include Miami, San Diego, Phoenix, and Austin, Texas. The Prime Minister of Jamaica is telling Prince William that the island country intends to leave the British monarchy. At the same time, William has come under intense pressure during his visit to apologize for past wrongs, something he addressed yesterday.
I strongly agree with my father, the Prince of Wales, who said in Barbados last year that the appalling atrocity of slavery forever stains our history. I want to express my profound sorrow. Slavery was abhorrent.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness met with Prince William and Kate Middleton on Wednesday during their royal tour of the Caribbean. During their meeting, Holness told William that Jamaica is moving on and intends to remove Queen Elizabeth as head of state and become an independent nation. The road to the Elite Eight and eventually the Final Four starts today as the Sweet 16 gets underway in the NCAA tournament. Trey Thomas reports.
Plenty of great action is on tap as second seed Duke battles 3 seed Texas Tech and 1 seed Gonzaga faces 4 seed Arkansas, among other highlights. On Friday, the 15 seed darling St. Peter's will look to keep chasing the dream as they face 3 seed Purdue.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face. And posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving? makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You are listening to a renowned safety expert, Dr. Jay Allen, on Safety FM. Changing safety cultures, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Join the fun on social media and find us on Facebook at Safety FM.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
So is it magical or is it world-renowned? Because I'm kind of confused. You know, this is an award-winning radio show that hasn't won a god-darn thing. So I guess it's really not award-winning if you really think about it. Maybe it is deserving of maybe buying one of those Webby awards that you can buy, that you pay for, and then you get the award, and then you brag that you got the award that you paid for. Oh, hold on. That's other people that do that. I shouldn't do shit like that. Anyway, so let's start talking right away. It is currently 16 minutes past the top of the hour, because that is the time of what we need to start doing some of the stuff. So let's start talking right away. We briefly spoke about this earlier this week, so let's talk about it right now. A red pickup truck was tossed on its side as the tornado that rushed through West Texas on Monday. The winds then righted the truck with the astonishing of onlookers to simply drove off. Yeah. There's an incredible clip online that's available. It's already had 6.5 million views of people kind of, I guess, impressed with what's going on. Let me see if I can pull this thing over. Let me do some finagling here, because that's how we have to do it. Oh yeah, you don't want to see all that stuff. That's for sure. We're gonna do this one. Yeah, we don't have to do that. So let's do this one right here. And take a look-see. And of course, take a look-see if you're watching. If you're not on the streaming version, this thing has totally flipped over, and then all of a sudden it lands and is able to take off. It's pretty crazy. It's all over the place. Anyways, it's there. Definitely can take a look at that one and take a look at some of the craziness that is known as our weather, and doing some of the things that it's able to do. So there you go. That's some information talking about how the hell do you handle that one. I'm not 100% sure. That is for sure, as we are talking. Anyways, let's talk about some things that are going on inside of this lovely world of ours. As you heard some of our newscasters already talking. Let's talk about this. Disney is asked to ban schools with Native American mascots. Did you hear about this? Disney is being asked to help stop the use of Native American mascots. Trey Thomas has more information about it.
The Florida Indigenous Alliance on Tuesday challenged the company to no longer allow schools with Indian mascots to perform in their parks. A Texas high school drill team called the Indianettes offended the group with their performance at Disney World last week. The FIA's chairman, Robert Rosa, tells Orlando's West 2 News the Indian mascot really needs to end, calling it ridiculous. I'm Trey Thomas.
So I don't know. What do you think about that as you hear it? Of course, I can understand how, some of these things are one of these things that can offend others. But what is your general thought? Do you think that this is something where Disney needs to jump in and say, hey, we're not going to allow this going forward? Of course, it's a question. Of course, Disney being such a major area for kids to come and hang and do the things that they want to do. It's a good question to ask, I would imagine. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things. Did you hear about this one? This one is coming out. This one's coming out with a lead woman who was charged in shoving the death of a New York City vocal coach due in court on Friday. The Long Island woman who was charged with shoving the death of a famous New York City voice coach faces a judge tomorrow. Lauren Pacienza of Fort Jefferson has been arraigned on manslaughter charges in the death of the 87-year-old Barbara Macer. Macer was the grandson of AJ Reason. She innocent until proven guilty is what they say, of course.
If she did do this, then I would like answers, but this woman deserves her day in court.
The 26-year-old suspect is accused of shoving Gustin to the ground back on March the 10th in Chelsea. Gustin died a few days later from her injuries. Paciencia surrendered this week to, of course, the courts, or there you go. So I don't know. That's an interesting one to see what the twist is going to be there. I mean, we know there's a death, and then we know, of course, that there is some other things that are playing the underlining factors into it. Anyways, let's talk about this. As you are aware, tax season is among us here in the U.S. of A. So let's talk about this real quick. There are some changes in the 2021 tax return filings. There are 3 new changes that are coming to your tax return filings that may require professional tax preparation. Mike Bowers has more information.
The families who didn't get monthly advancement payments in 2021 can still get a lump sum payment by claiming the child tax credit when they file their 2021 federal income tax return.
The Economic Ninja says claiming child tax credits that you did not receive in 2021 will require a 2021 tax return in order to receive the credit at tax filing. There's also a change of itemized charitable deductions that can be taken advantage of with your 2021 tax return. Eric Smith of the IRS says it's important for both first-time filers and people who do not usually file because their income is fairly low.
Someone in that situation who may have some income or they may have no income at all, they typically don't file a return, but if they did, they would qualify in many cases for those special payments that were issued last year.
Smith adds that the IRS has tried to make it pretty easy for first-time filers, even if there's only one reason to file.
To claim the recovery rebate credit.
I'm Mike Bauer.
So, I mean, you have to ask the question, what do you think here? Do you interact with a professional year in and year out because of all the changes that occur from time to time? Of course, that's a question for you. And, of course, your CPA. That's something to think about. Anyways, Oklahoma Air National Guard jet crashes. A jet assigned to the Oklahoma Air National Guard crashed in Louisiana. Trey Thomas has some more information.
Officials say that an F-16 from the Guard's 138th Fighter Wing, based in Tulsa, was taking part in training from Ellington Field Joint Reserve Base in Texas when it crashed yesterday. The pilot ejected from the jet and wasn't injured. The crash is under investigation. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, there you go. Some information coming out of there. So good to hear that the pilot is in good condition, because that's always going to be a thing. Anyway, let's talk about this shitty. Listen to me. Oh, Lord, I'm going to get in trouble for that one.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Chicago City Council debuts electronic voting. Oh, my God. The Chicago City Council, never combine those words because they just sound terrible. In entering the 21st century with electronic voting, the city clerk, Ana Valencia, said that Chicago is the first major city to implement electronic voting during yesterday's council meeting.
E-voting allows for more accessibility. It allows for openness and transparency in our government. It allows our residents to understand what is happening in city council in real time and hold us accountable.
Okay, the e-voting system is part of a $3.5 million modernization, not monetization, but modernization effort that began back in 2017. So hold on. You're telling me that it took you 5 years to show this machine? And so here's the thing. When we start talking about e-voting, because, we had to talk about it, don't you imagine when you hear e-vote, you think it's similar to like email where you can just get to do it from a computer? So is it hackable? No, seriously, is it hackable? Because that's the other question that's going to come about. People want to make sure that it can't get hacked. And as you know, and I know, I don't know of a lot of things that are unhackable at the moment. Seriously, just think about that for a brief momento. as we are talking. Anyways, a mountain lion captured inside an office building was released into the wild. The mountain lion that was actually captured in Irvine, California after running into the office building on Tuesday is back in the wild. Winston Vickers with the California Mountain Lion Project says that hurting people was one of the last things on its mind.
That animal was terrified, and they don't have anything in their mind other than getting away, from people.
The 2-year-old male who was tranquilized after running into a lab area of a business was released into Santa Ana Mountains late Tuesday. He was tagged with a GPS collar so wildlife officials can track his movement and behavior and given the name M317. Yes, let's try that again. M317. He was also checked for fleas and ticks and vaccinated. There have been several big cat sightings in Southern California this week. A few days ago, a mountain lion was spotted swimming in the lake of Lake Mission Viejo, and yesterday, a young mountain lion was hit and killed by the vehicle on a Pacific Coast highway. So hold on, are you telling me that this thing got it was vaccinated for the coronavirus? That's crazy.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
And I guess I better say this before somebody takes me literal and thinks that I'm being serious. I was just kidding. It's perfectly fine. I'm pretty sure that they were not vaccinated for the coronavirus, but thank you for, the insight there. Anyways, let's talk about some other things that are going on real quick. As we are moving and grooving inside of this thing. Let's talk about this because it is something you're seeing on the news day in and day out with everything that's going on. Summit on Ukraine was a war underway. NATO leaders are meeting today in Brussels as the war in Ukraine hits the 1-month mark. NATO Secretary General Jens says that they all have the same goal.
We are determined to continue to impose costs on Russia to bring about the end of this brutal war.
President Biden is among the leaders that are taking part of today's special emergency summit. Speaking on Wednesday, it was said that the alliance will agree for major increases of troops in Europe eastern flank. NATO has amassed 140,000 troops in the region since the Russian invasion of the Ukraine began back in February. The U.S. has supplied the bulk of those armed forces. Secretary General Jens welcomed the world leaders to NATO headquarters this morning to discuss now a month-long Russian invasion of the Ukraine.
We pay tribute to the great courage of the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian armed forces fighting for their freedom and their rights. We also recognize those in Russia who are bravely speaking out against the war.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of there for sure. Let's talk about this real quick. Fairfield teen in court for hearing. In Fairfield, Iowa, one of two Fairfield 16-year-olds are facing a murder charge and having a hearing scheduled for today was postponed. We got some more information by Paul Rubidoux.
The hearing to determine if Willard Miller's trial will be moved to juvenile court is being put on hold while his attorney petitions the Iowa Supreme Court about evidence obtained by investigating officers. Miller and Jeremy Goodale are both charged with the murder of 66-year-old Noema Graber last November. Goodale's hearing on being tried as an adult or juvenile is going on today as scheduled. I'm Paul Rubidoux.
Okay, thank you, Paul, for that one as we are going through the moves and grooves of the things that are going on. What do you think about it when it comes to a murder case, especially at the age of 16? Do they get treated as an adult or do they get treated as a juvenile? I mean, murder is murder, so I kind of look at it and go, this is something that we need to start talking about in that particular case, for sure. Anyway, a school district in Nevada is selling Cold War-era bomb shelter. A school district in Nevada is selling their bomb shelter from the Cold Era. Michael Kastner has more information.
3, 2, 1.
The bunker was built on a 2-acre property in a remote part of the Las Vegas Valley in the 1950s. It was designed to serve as county government headquarters in the event of an atomic emergency. The property in Arden, Nevada has been owned by the Clark County School District since 1923. Sealed bids to buy it will open at today's Clark County School District's Regents meeting. Bidding starts at $990,000. I'm Michael Kastner.
Hold on, $990,000? Holy monkeys. I mean, we were talking yesterday about panic rooms at $100,000. I don't know. Something to think about as we are talking about it, because what are you thinking?
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Face for radio, I mean, I know this, but man, do we have to add more insult to the injury? That is for sure. Anyways, before we get into the next portion, I think we probably need to do the market beat, so let's bring in Johnny Smalls.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, March 24th, 2022. Equities pulled back Wednesday as geopolitical tension and rising oil prices sapped sentiment. The price of WTI rose more than 5% intraday to well over $115 and is well on its way to retesting the recent high near $130. Based on the geopolitical outlook and skew in the energy market, we're expecting to see the price of WTI move well above $130 before it peaks out for good. In business news, headwinds are emerging for businesses that may cut into the outlook for 2022. With supply chain easing and economic acceleration expected in the second half, this is not good news at all. The consensus estimates for S&P 500 earnings growth was already on the verge of decline. If these headwinds grow, they could completely alter the outlook for the year and bring the S&P 500 crashing down. You can get the inside track in your inbox at marketbeatminute.com.
Thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, you know how it goes. 31 minutes past the top of the hour. We are hanging and banging and doing the things that we get to do on this lovely day. So if you did hang out this morning and you were paying close attention to titling, let's talk about it because, you know, titles are important. Or covers are important, or something's important. I know something is supposed to be said there that's supposed to make some rhyme or reason on why we came up with this. So, new to you safety, or is it old to you? Think about this real quick. I want you to think about whatever versionality of safety you interact with day in and day out inside of your organization. And if you're not inside of an organization, let's talk about the version of safety that you interact with day in and day out. You got it? Are you thinking about it? Or are you giving it some of that brain power towards it? So here's the gig. Let's talk about this. When you first heard about it, was it new or was it old? But hold on. Was it old, meaning had it been around for some period of time? Or was it something that it was the first time that you had ever heard about it? But even though it was the first time you had ever heard about it, and it still could have been old, was it new to you? Now think about this. This is confusing to some as we talk about this real quick. Let's just kind of throw it all totally off kilter for a moment because I think it might be a little bit easier. Have you ever heard the Seventh Symphony? Yes, that Seventh Symphony. Have you ever heard it? Well, the first time that you heard it, was it new or was it old? I mean, think about how interesting that question is. Because it was new to you, but it did exist for some time before you heard it the first time. And I don't know if you're going to be watching this in the future or listening to this in the future, so it can become a very interesting conversation because I sure as shit know you're not listening to this in the past. But when you start thinking about it, it was old, but it was new. It was old to other people, but new to you. And it might have been one of the greatest sounds that you had ever heard because you had never heard the Seventh Symphony before. And here's what happens a lot of times in life. We go through these aspects of you hear something for the first time and it's fantastic. it could be one of the greatest things you ever heard. It could be also one of the worst things you ever heard. But all of a sudden, it's new to us. So there is the idea of either we want to learn more about it or we want to know less about it. It's one or the other. It's not a combination of both things. That's kind of normally how it goes. So you take these deep dives into things that are older for some people. Think about it. Think about how that actually works. So some people might have heard it over and over and over again. It is the same symphony, but it's new to you, even though it's been around forever or for a long period of time. Let's put it to you that way. It's the same recording. It is the same sound structure. Not much has changed in regards of when it was originally created, unless it was like remastered and you got to listen to a version of that. But here's what happens with most of the times with our safety programs. We get to the point where people start saying, okay, let's talk about this. And we have this assumption, oh my, we have heard this 1,000 times. How old can it get? But at some point, it was new to you. And also what you have to look at is that there's sometimes people that are around you that have never heard this before. And yes, I know that sometimes some of this work can become mundane. I know that sometimes this work can become repetitive. I know that this work can become difficult. But the thing that you have to remember day in and day out, even though it could be old to you, it could be new to someone else. Or there might be something inside of there that someone has never, and I mean never, heard before. Think about that for just a brief moment. Think about how that impact of hearing that symphony for the first time was for you. Think about it. Think about the different sounds and how it had an impact on what was going on, even though it was old. And nothing against old here, but it was new to you at some aspect. And that's what we tend to forget. Just because you might have heard something 1,000 times does not mean that someone else has. Just because a reality is something real to you does not mean that it's real to somebody else. You're going to have a knowledge base that other people will not have, and vice versa. And that's the interesting thing. If you take a look right now and you're watching this on a screen, not the audio portion alone, you will notice that there are some colors behind me. At this particular moment, there's blue on one side and a greenish yellow on the other. The funny part is that when you take a look at it, based on your reality, that bluish color is slightly different than how I see it. The same thing with the bluish yellow. The colors have changed since I started talking about them as well. I don't want you to get confused there. But that's the thing. The way that you interpret something, the way that I interpret something is always going to be slightly different. Nobody lives the same reality as someone else. So just because you're interpreting a program or a process or a symphony in one way, shape, or form does not mean that's how other people are going to interpret it as well. That's the great thing about being on a team. You're able to have these discussions that can bring different perspectives out there. So just because it might be old to you, it could be new to someone else. And when you guys gel together, you guys and gals, or you folks, however you want to word it, it changes the perspective of things. Your reality will always be different than mine and vice versa. Think about that today. Think about the Seventh Symphony. If I wouldn't get in too much trouble, I'd probably go ahead and play that shit. But you know how it goes around here. You never know what you're going to get copyrighted violations for, because it's an easy thing to do. Anyways, I don't think I'm off my rocker today, even though most of the times I think I am.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. BIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. BIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with BIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take BIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open. Don't speak with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Flush time, my drip, real plush, huh? Internet tea off a blue pill. Hand grip stack of the blue cheese. Turn that to a bag at a new crib. Nice big spot by the seaside. Never stressed on for a handout. Niggas ain't on, but I pay on. Niggas ain't on, need to rewrite. Yeah. Gold fronts to show the color of my soul. Fuck who you think you is, you got me in a mode. Where I'm from, we live and die by the code. Either that or sell your soul to get a roll. Black boy joy, she wanna see the Forbes like I wanna see her form. Tell me what you for, yeah. Hey, they pay me, but I'm old.
Okay, there you go. 43 minutes past the top of the hour.
All this money on me. Whoa. Yeah.
That is some Tilden Park with Black Boy Joy.
All this money around me.
Yeah, the song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. So there you go. Enjoy it now. Doing the things that we get to do. There you go. Yeah, if you've noticed, we do play a lot of Tilden Park around here because, you know, we like them. We like them around here, so we appreciate them allowing us to play that here on the Rated R Safety Show that you are taking a listen to exclusively on RadioBig.fm and SafetyFM.com. Keep in mind, you can always download the apps. If you want to go to Radio Big, it's the Live 365 app. I'm sure we'll talk about that here in the near future. And if you want to do Radio Big, if you want to do Safety FM, all you have to do is go to SafetyFM.com to be able to download the app directly from there. It will be in your favorite, toy store, app store, toy store too, because it might as well be a toy store because that's what it all boils down to. Anyways, I'm going to tell you about the most important thing I'm going to tell you at any point during any of my shows, or any times that we get to speak, or anything that we get to do. This will be the most important thing. It's about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Seriously, whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experience from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to afsp.org. That's afsp.org. Or you can call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or text the word TALK to 741-741. Now, keep in mind that they will keep all this information anonymous if you're so inclined of doing that. So keep that in mind. You can also figure out if there is a way that you can help make a difference in your local chapters or your local community in regard to that, or you can just go over there to learn facts, read about stories. You can even see what is happening now, learn about mental health and how it has impacted because of the COVID-19 lockdowns. So, if you're struggling with any of this, please consider going to afsp.org. afsp.org, or calling the 800 number, 1-800-273-8255. Or texting the word TALK to 741-741. This, seriously, if we could take everything else out of the show, no joke whatsoever, that's the most important part that I'll tell you. No doubt whatsoever as we are hanging and talking this morning. Anyways, the struggle is real. A lot of people talk about this, but there always seems to be some stigma with it. Let's get the stigma out and let's start having some real conversations about mental health. Anyways, let's talk about some things that are going on still inside of the world of the news because we have the opportunity of doing that right now. So let's talk a little bit more here. Hacktivism. Yes, hacktivism. In the early days of the Russian invasion, Ukraine asked for volunteers of IT Army to fight the digital front line, and apparently about 400,000 people have answered the call. In late February, Ukraine Vice Prime Minister and the Minister of Digital Transformation posted a message in English on Twitter asking for hackers and programmers to sign up to help carry out cyber attacks against Russia. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting there has been a number of publicized cyber attacks against the country so far, though it's difficult to know who's behind them all and whether they are affiliated to the so-called IT Army or IT Army. One of the Rataks reportedly carried out hacking the collective Anonymous involved broadcasting footage of the war in Russia's TV, the country's equivalent of Netflix. Others are conducting DDoS attacks, which involve overwhelming and disrupting networks by flooding it with traffic. But of course, two can play that game, and Ukraine has also been a victim of cyber attacks. And with other countries possibly on the hit list of Russian hackers, the White House has issued a warning for the fact of on the sheet to help keep U.S. organizations safe. So you don't want to get caught hacking Russian computer systems. You'll be sent to Siberia, cyber area. Yeah, you get it? And if they don't want to disrupt computer systems, they should just let my, grandfather sit down in front of one of them for a while because, that will be kind of an easier thing to handle.
You are listening to a Radio God. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a Radio God. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Do we need to talk about some sleep techniques? I think it might be the time to do so. The best way to get a good night's sleep is to do this. Snuggle up with a cozy blanket in a quiet, cool room and then be in bed by 9:30 p.m. According to a survey of 2,000 people conducted by OnePoll for Serta Simmons Bedding, the survey asked us about the key factors of achieving great sleep. Those also included sleeping with 2 pillows or a medium-supported mattress in a comfortable, cool room. Sleeping in a silent room was preferred by 31%, and 72% said that having some light on contributes to excellent sleep, especially for boomers. Keeping a comfy blanket nearby year-round for 66%, along with leaving at least an hour between the last meal and going to bed also makes good sleep by 61%. And on average, people said that they go to sleep at 10 p.m., but those who say that they have excellent sleep prefer to go to bed earlier at 9:39 p.m. On average, just 2 in 5 people said that they would rate their quality of sleep as excellent. It's just a third of adults feel refreshed when waking up in the morning by 30%. The only way that I'm going to sleeping by 10 p.m. is if I get to the 19th hole by 6 p.m. and everyone else hit a hole in one. So I'm good at sleep. I'm good at sleeping. I can do it with my eyes closed. Okay, sorry. I mean, I just thought it was a little bit obvious to really say that.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about some other things. 5 hurt, 3 of them juveniles in Arizona outlet mall shooting. Police say that 5 people were hurt after shots rang out in an Arizona outlet mall on Wednesday. Michael Kastner has more information.
I just had somebody run up to me saying there's gunshots in the Tanger outlets. Can you start PD this way?
Shots ringing out in broad daylight at Glendale, Arizona's Tanger outlets.
I need all units in the area that can respond to that area.
Police responding to reports of a child who'd been shot.
There was a shooting broke out and everybody scrambled underneath to get it for safety.
A man holding a baby and a group of young men that he knew got into an altercation. That baby was one of those who got shot. All are said to be listed in stable condition. I'm Michael Kastner.
Crazy just to hear some of that stuff as we are talking. A 10-year-old dies during a gym class in Staten Island. A 10-year-old boy collapsed and died during a gym class on Wednesday in Staten Island. According to the elementary school, Noam Layden has some more information.
EMTs raced to PS 78 after they were told the boy was on the ground and unresponsive. He was rushed to Richmond University Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. The 10-year-old had a pre-existing medical condition which sources say was sickle cell anemia. Noam Layden, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Noam, for that one. Terrible news to hear, but stuff that unfortunately we have to talk about from time to time because we never know how some of these medical conditions or outliers will play a factor into what you're doing out in the general public, especially when it comes to someone that age. So terrible news to hear. Let's talk about some more things that are going on real quick. Before we get too far into it, let's bring in some Johnny Smalls and let him tell you about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Daniel. Ellen DeGeneres said, "I think we need more love in the world. We need more kindness, more compassion, more joy, more laughter." I agree 100% on this. If you're ever feeling a little sad, my recommendation is watch a stand-up comic. Now, if you don't have a favorite, I can tell you ours, Brian Regan. He's hilarious, and he's clean. His brother, Dennis Regan, is also hilarious, and he can be found on Dry Bar Comedy. They have a bunch of clean comics that you can watch with your kids or at work. Next time you're sad, I recommend 5 to 10 minutes of comedy from your favorite comic, and I guarantee you'll feel better. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alasamorgan.com. Do you ever walk down a grocery store aisle and suddenly see something that surprises you it even exists? Egg whites in a carton. They used to be marketed as healthy because they are low calorie, but they are low everything. They really don't have much. The yolks have most of the fat, a lot of the protein, all the vitamins A, E, D, and K. Yolks have all the nutrients. All we have with egg whites is a little bit of lower quality protein. The whites are like the placenta that contains a lot of things that would normally be feeding and growing a chicken, which means it has a lot more of the hormonal activity and more of what can mess us up and cause inflammation in our bodies. Additionally, when you're getting egg whites in a carton, you're getting a ton of preservatives. just to keep those egg whites the way they are. Eating the whole egg or the whole egg and a couple of yolks is significantly more beneficial to your health. For additional information, check out alasamorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 54 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging and banging and doing everything that we are doing right now. Anyway, so no winner for Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing. Friday's drawing will be for a $50 million jackpot or a $31.7 million cash payout. This is making the sequence of the news, so we'll talk about it real quick. The plane Miley Cyrus was flying on Tuesday night was forced to make an emergency landing after being struck by lightning. Miley was on her way to Paraguay to headline a 2022 music festival when the terrifying ordeal took place. After the safely touching down, Miley alerted her fans and what had happened while apologizing to have to miss the event. No one was injured during the turbulent landing. So just in case if you were wondering what the hell was going on, if you've heard the circles of things, that is what was happening. So now you are in the loop for sure. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world. Back on this date, let's take a look. Back in 2019, Ron Gronkowski announces his retirement. The New England Patriot tight end spent his entire career with the Pats and left as a three-time Super Bowl champion, a five-time Pro Bowler, a four-time first all-around pro, and selected for the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team. He would return to the NFL a year later, joining Tom Brady at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there you go. If you're looking for some birthdays for today, let's talk about that. Today, Lacey Evans turns 32, Blanco Brown turns 37, Chris Bosh 38, Jack Swagger 40, Jessica Chastain, 45, Peyton Manning, 46, Allison Hannigan, 48, Jim Parsons, 49, The Undertaker, or Mark Callis, Mark Calloway, not Mark Callis, Mark Calloway turns 57, and Jack Egger turns 65, and Tommy Hilfiger turns 71 today. If you're looking for some days of the year to celebrate, I have a few of those for you. National Cocktail Day, National Cheesesteak Day, and National Chocolate-Covered Raisin Day. I didn't realize that you had to have a day just to be able to enjoy those things, but there you go. There's a day for you. What else do we got? What else? I think we should probably do... before we get you out of here, let's talk about a did you know real quick. A New Zealand couple thought that they had found the world's largest potato, but DNA testing has proven otherwise after Colin and Donna Craig Brown submitted the giant spud. They discovered that the name Doug to Guinness. They found it informed that the root vegetable isn't a potato after all. Colin, who found it in his farm, says the test determined that Doug was a gourd. We talked about this before, but the current Guinness World Record for the heaviest potato is 10 pound 14 ounces. Doug's came in for just over 17 pounds. Despite the disappointing news, the couple still keep Doug in the freezer. Colin says, I say good day to every time that I pull out some sausage. He's a cool character. I don't know. I guess you should be happy that at least, you had something that was 17 pounds. I guess that's some way to look at it. Duh.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, if you need a random joke for today, try this one. Saying I just cleared out some space in the freezer sounds so much more productive than I just polished off another pint of ice cream. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What song would be played on a loop in your personal hell? Don't say Barbie Girl. That's not nice. If you need a question for the water cooler, you can try this one. Question. In 20% of homes, this doesn't work, and those who live there have no desire to fix it. What is it? The doorbell. Does the doorbell not work at your house? That's weird. I would say that's weird. I have a doorbell, and I think mine functions pretty well, despite of, what else actually happens once you ring the damn thing. So there you go. That's what's going on there. That's what I got for you. I will be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out for the next couple hours as we play some music, do some of those other things. Also, we still have that thing going on right now that if you want to sign up for Safety FM Plus, that's safetyfmplus.com. We are giving away 30 days for free. All you have to do is enter in offer code 400 inside of the code barrier portion because we just hit our 400th episode on the Jay Allen Show. Anyways, that's what I got for you today. If I can leave you with a deep thought, I would love to leave you with this one. The quality of advice anyone has to offer should be judged against the quality of life they've actually led. Think about that for a moment before you take advice from the next person. That's all I got. Anyways, thank you for being a listener. You are the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.